Stitches of love we weave so. In this online world we come to grow. Mom and Pop Quilt Shop, where hearts align. Let's embrace the craft and let our souls shine.
Hello everyone, welcome to Weekend Project. I'm Laura Lynn of the Mom and Pop Quilt Shop, and we're very happy to see you here today. We're going to work on something fun with fabric rope. Now, whether you use this as a 3-inch cut or 2.5-inch cut, it's really jelly roll friendly, or your stash or pre-cut friendly. You can make pretty much anything with the rope. Like there's always been the rugs, there's bowls, there's bags, there's, done a few things. So I decided to use some. I have a big, huge bolt of this fabric, so that's why I use it for like a lot of things, and you'll see it. I decided to try it and see if I can make a tree. So not a lot of people have space for a big tree to hang in their house, but they still have some ornaments they want to hang up. If you make one of these, you can just use your wall, and then you can decorate with all sorts of lights. This is a cute little battery pack. Has many little sequences on the colors for the lights and how they, how they manipulate. Hold on, make sure it's off. There we go. And you can light it up that way. So it doesn't necessarily have to be this big, massive like tree, right? You can make your own. So I took some of my green stash, my couple of strips that I had at 2.5, and then I cut up a couple of bits of my fabric to make some more, and just kind of put this like big rope together, okay? So this one is going to go turned into a tree, and then I'll show you what I'm going to do with the other one here, okay? So you just take your 2.5-inch strips, and you're going to sew them together, okay? We'll put it this way because it's easiest for people to understand. It's like doing binding, right? When you're putting all your strips together, or doing like a jelly roll race or something like that. So you just kind of lay them across each other because you want to have a nice diagonal cut like those ones there, okay? Because then it looks really nice on the quilt project itself, or the project that we're working on, okay? And then you get all these beautiful half-square triangles that you could put in a pile and probably never use. You just never know. All right, so we're gonna do a little seam right from this end to this end. And this is a great way to use up some strips you just didn't know what to do. You make yourself a nice, pretty little green tree. All right, so we come up to the machine and we're just gonna sew on the diagonal from one corner down to the other. And you don't have to come in, oops, that was a bigger stitch. I use the regular stitch for putting the strips together, but when I'm doing making the rope, I do a bigger stitch. We'll go over the top of that, just not that I suspect it's going to go very far. And of course I got a little cattywampus because I got nervous. I was like, whoa, wait a second, that's not stitching the way it should. Okay, so there we go, that's fine. And then we hop over a little bit, and that's going to give you an extra little half-square triangle project that, you have big dreams of making big things with. Because it's fabric and we don't want to waste it. Okay. And then we'll just take that and we'll press it and we'll trim off that bit on the back. And it's just another piece added. You could just keep adding and adding and adding till you get the length that you want. I have a lot. I don't know what the measurement is. I just know I'm going to have definitely enough to make this tree. Okay. So I want to take the little bit off here. Oops, pardon my reach. Oh no. Oh, I hooked my sweater. Like literally. Okay, we're gonna move that off to the side, and then we take this, and then we'll press the seam open, just like that, and then we'll fold it in half, okay? And then I, being a long armer and love making quilts and stuff like that, I have lots of batting left over, odd strips, sometimes just a little bit thicker than this, sometimes a little bit thinner, so I'll stack it up or whatever, and they become great for these like sort of fabric ropes to do all sorts of fun projects with. Okay. You don't always just have to make quilts, okay? So when we'll go over to the machine, and as we add each piece, what I do is I just like to overlap it. So this is a 2-inch cut of batting. And I just like to just overlap it just a little bit. And then before I get to the spot where it's going to be stitching, of course, I want to make sure I'm folding it in on itself on either side. And then like that. So what you could do is you can come in and with those little clips, you can clip where all the spots where the batting is joined, because you don't want to pull too hard on straightening this out underneath the machine or underneath the foot, and then you end up pulling your batting out. Like that's the worst thing. So you could pop a pin if you like, or just use those little clips just to make sure those aren't going to go anywhere, and just pull them out just as you get to it, okay? Okay, and then we'll just keep feeding that in the machine to get all the length that we want, to get as much rope as we're looking for. Okay, so we have this so much. Let's do a little bit more, and then we will start building out our tree. Okay, now I'm going to turn my stitch all the way up to like a 5.0. Like we're just putting this together. It's not rocket science, and we're not building the piano, right? So all the way up. Use a nice decorative thread. Use the thread you've been trying to get rid of. Use all the threads you've been trying to get rid of. Odd colored ones. This makes the project really fun and colorful. You could design it in a way that you had brown fabric at the bottom to make the trunk of the tree, and then darker and lighter as it goes up. You could add little pops of color here and there to represent ornaments. You know, you've got the stash. This is a good way to cut up some of the ugly fabric you just don't know what to do with. You cut it up and put it in a project like this. And it's just folding the two edges over each other, just like that. So they meet in the middle where that little press line is. That's why it's pressed. And then you just, there, and then you just sew along here. If you are sewing and you realize that your bottom is sticking out more than your top, as long as you know it's stitched together, I really wouldn't worry about it. We're going to manipulate this fabric back and forth a few times anyways, right? So, and then you just keep adding as many pieces that you need. Okay, so let's start. I don't know if I'm going to, so let's start working on this from the bottom. I know it is. Oh, here somewhere. Okay, here. So I used one of my rulers to help aid me on size-wise. The base of this trunk here is just over 4 inches on either side. So that kind of gave me helpful with dimension on laying placement. Okay, so I had this like greeny brown material here first to start off with, because I said I kind of want to make it a little bit on the tree side, a little bit darker on the bottom. So I'm just taking this and I'm folding it across each other like this. Okay, and then I'm going to do is I'm going to take some zigzag stitches and I'm going to go all the way along that seam. Then I'm going to take this, and you can either flip to the back. I found that a little bit easier just to kind of flip to the back and then stitch this way and then do a little zigzag there. And then you take this and you flip it to the back and you do a little zigzag, or you could probably just do a straight stitch. That would do it too. I was doing zigzag just trying to make sure I was catching all the bits. And then you fold back again here and again until you're making you're happy with your trunk at that point, okay? And then when it comes to starting where the part of the tree is, I took it from this spot here where it was all stitched together. I used my ruler as my reference. From this part over was the length of the bottom of the tree. So I just went like this, pulled my fabric all the way to the end, and then again looped it back on itself and went again all the way to the other side. Okay, here. Oops, probably wouldn't see most of that. I didn't really. The camera's been really funny, so it was vibrating like crazy, so I had to give it in a happy spot. So from here, so I just kind of was weaving, wobbing to get the whole image of the tree. Okay. Okay, so let's start. Okay, first here, so we're happy with that. We're going to change it to a zigzag stitch. Like I said, you could use a straight stitch if you like. That's up to you. Okay, and then we're going to make it so it's a little bit farther apart. And it's a half decent zigzag. We don't want to like super duper close, but we want just so it'll stay together. It's just going to be a wall hanging. Or it could be a rug, or it could be a trivet. Every time I want to say turret, but turret's for army. And then you just kind of zigzag to hold the back all together. Doesn't necessarily have to be that. Okay, and then just a little back stitch. And then what it ends up being is these little parts here on either little section is a little hoop, and you can hook your little ornaments in there. Okay, so now we're going to fold that fabric back on itself like a little loop. come back up, and then just, you're not going to get right close to the end because of the bulkiness as you're going back and forth, so that don't try to, just kind of do just a little bit. It's only, you're just trying to keep them together. Hold on, do I want to go? Okay, and then just do a little back stitch because you're putting in all this work to begin with, so you might as well, you know, back stitch it. And then just again fold it on this side. Always kind of turn it around towards you, working from the bottom up. Okay. And you're just trying to get you a little bit of this one and a little bit of this one to keep it all together. And then just flipping to the back. Oops, I guess we'll just keep going that way. Here. Flipping that back. Just try and keep it the same size as the tree trunk. It kind of popped out a little bit there, but that's okay. We kind of keep as even as we can on the stitches. And of course you can make all sorts of shapes. You could make stars and bells and whatever, snowman. Okay, so now I'm going to stitch this down, but then I'm going to measure out what I need to be able to stitch across on the back part to make the bottom part of the tree, the very bottom base of the tree. So now we're done the trunk. We need to start working on the tree branches. And I love trees, and I'm always out for looking for an interesting way to make Christmas trees. So, okay, so here's our little part here. Now we're going to take our measurement, and we're going to go all the way over the ruler length, and then back on itself. I don't think it really matters, but I just found sometimes it was easier to battle with underneath the machine. Okay. And then you're going to go all the way across. So you may want to pop a couple pins in here at first. You won't need them the whole way, but you'll just to make sure that your base line is going to stay where you want it. Just pop a couple pins. Or you can use some bigger clips if you got those bigger clips. Okay, just a little bit like from column A, column B. And then you want to take the same measurement that you had from this side of the ruler over to this side of the ruler over. Okay. And then do the same. Turn it on itself. It's like your base measurement, okay? And then you're going to do the same from there. And then as I was coming to each of the ends, so I'm trying so you can see this. I realize how far over we are. That when I came back, I came in just like the foot width. Or like the foot length, so it was only just like a little bit. So you end up bringing your tree up to a nice point by working it that way and this way and that way. So it's a nice, pretty, even-ish looking triangle as you're working your way. Okay, it's going to turn out pretty. Okay, so let's do this first. We got our position here, so let's hold that there with another pin because we know how far we need to go. So we'll start here first, go all the way across here, and then we'll come and do this one from there. And then it's easier to go back and forth all the way up. Okay. Of course, you can use like red thread, green thread. Like I said, I would probably use all the threads because I think it would add a pretty little colorful texture to it as little lights or garland or, Okay, and then there's a little spot there where we're leaving to make the hook. Okay, now all the way to the other end. And we have a pin there, so we know we got to start here. And I found it easier going, just even mentally, just going from the bottom up than trying to go from the top down. And then that way you kind of, you can leave the top open to how you want to finish it off. You can try and put a little star, form a little star on top. I tried, I just couldn't fiddle the fabric enough, but maybe if you did it a bit bigger, or I think it'd be a nice little crafted star. Pretty on there. Look at our beautiful rope. Look at that. Okay, so I went about there, and then this is where I end up turning around. Okay, so and then I flipped it. Keep it right there so you can see it. And it's just a little bit shorter than the one previous. Okay. So now we're going to go here. This is where it's going to have to flip and flop on your lap to be able to build out the tree. Okay. Just taking a little bit from column A and a little bit from column B. It can be a wider zigzag. It doesn't have to be this that narrow. So. You just kind of had a natural spot to stop at where it just kind of got a little bit bulky for the feeling of the foot. Okay, so I'm going to just tuck this behind. Again, run it just a little bit shorter than the other one. This is where your scraps are really going to shine. It could be memory of projects. I actually have a bunch of like little bits and bobs left over from binding projects, and I'm going to make like a binding quilt or something, a binding bag of all my little leftover binding bits, because I don't want to throw them out. They're already 2.5 inches by, you know, whatever the length is left over from the binding, so it'll be interesting. Okay, then we'll just do a little back stitch, and again, folding it under just enough to build out that triangle idea. Okay. Now this would be lovely on the dining room table, hanging on the wall, being the extra heat resistance between some of those hot dishes that come out in all the seasons. You know, the trees really for all the time. It's not necessarily just for Christmas or for the holidays or anything like that. So. You know, enjoy it. Make something fun. Okay, and then just turning it under. Just helps it sit just a little bit better as you're going from space to space and making sure that it's a little bit shorter than the one previous. And if you come across like any holes in the stitching as you're going from one piece to the other, just use it as an advantage of sticking a Christmas ornament in there. Candy cane. It was meant to be. The candy must hang here if there is a space. Okay, and then turn that again back on itself. A little bit shorter than the one previous. As you can see, we're just kind of doing a little stair step up there. And get a position. So this we're almost there. As you get from working your way to the top, it's shorter and shorter, right? So be patient with the process, and in no time flat, you can make a really neat gift for somebody that you may not know what to get them. You know, you want your doggy or your cat or your pet mini horse to have a Christmas tree in their space. This is a great way to do one. Put some little lights on it. It's out of their reach, you can still feel like they're having the celebration of the season. There we go. And then again, a little bit back on itself. Got that little tiered effect. And of course, where you have bigger strips of fabric, you're going to get more layers of that same fabric being on that tree part, right? So this green one was a nice big thick piece. Most of my other bits have just been like little chunks. Sometimes it's the width of fabric. Look how that's cute. Look how cute that's coming along. Isn't that adorable? Making ourselves a tree. Yippee-yi-yo, cow patty. Okay, so you just keep going back and forth till you get all the way working up to your top, and you just kind of weave it back, and then you just tuck it, the last little bit of fabric, right at the back. I'll show you pictures when I get this one done, okay? So, but just finishing the tip of the tree. A little pressing. No, like just fat. Flat. Good boy. So once you have it all lassoed up just like this, they're all the same, you're going to take your ball and just kind of loop it through to keep everything together, and you're making yourself a lovely wreath from your fabric stash. Now this can be seasonal, all the seasons, doesn't mean it's just the season for the reason for the season, but all the way around. You could thread some lights into this, some garland, some tinsel. Keep it really close together if you like. You could straighten it out. Just think of all the pretty colors like we did the tree if you did a wreath like that. Just keep coming around. There we go. Just like that. You can make a nice big bow. Great gift to do with someone, especially, you know, if you're recycling things. Like, it's a great way to deal with some of that, you know, maybe not so pleasant fabric that you just don't know what to do with. If you turn it into something like this, you've made use out of it, and I'm sure it'll look good. Okay, you can just keep wrapping around, and wrapping around until you get your desired effect. Okay. Tuck that under there. Of course, make your bow. Get somehow to hang it. There we go. Isn't that neat? I like that. That'd be cute, especially with a bunch of, you know, different seasonal colors. You know, playing around, you could do a little bit thicker so it's right up against each other. But I think that's really cute. That'd make an awesome little wreath for a window or for a door or something. So thank you so much for watching and liking and subscribing. We really greatly appreciate you here at the Mom and Pop Quilt Shop, and wish you all the merriest of the holiday season ahead, and hope you have a great time with your family and your loved ones, and you spend it where you want to spend it, because family is more precious than gifts. Take care. Big hugs. We'll see you soon.